Okay, we're going to learn how to use a new tool right now. For the most part, let's talk about what do we got set up here. Okay, I got a couple tools. We're going to break down a little bit what we need to first put together or understand before we put together our parts. Okay, now the end result looks something like this, and I'll show you how to get there. These are dowel pins. They're very useful. They help to secure your work as any glue up happens. So you got two that are going to get put in so that they're inside of the wood itself. Okay, I'm going to show you how to put those in. Now, using the combination square that's available on the table, what you do first is put two marks. Now you got to use this in a way that the edge here matches up with the end grain, and that it puts forward right there on that like that. Okay, not up here like that. You want it to be visible from the outside. So you take your pencil and you just make a little tick mark. Okay, that's it, just a little one. Do that on the other side as well. Just a little tick mark on the side, just like that. Okay, so then you got two pieces with two tick marks on the sides, just like that. That's it. Then you take your dowel jig, okay, and you line it up on the top of the wood like this. Now, if the drill is going to go into this hole right here, there's a line on the inside that you need to match up with that tick you made on this board. So you match it up. You can see the bottom line, but you can't really see the gray one. Once it's matched up, then I turn this clockwise, and that pinches both the sides of the gate. And if you can see through it there, it's roughly lined up. Putting in the device is very helpful. There you go. And then you just take it, standing up, two hands, goes down on top. You're going to feel it hit the wood, and then press the drill till you hit the blue tape. And again, the blue tape is acting as our depth gauge. That's how we know how far to go. And then you'll have a hole right here, and you do the same thing on the other side. You just flip it around and do the same thing. Now on the second piece, it's a little trickier. You're going to get an end like this, to where you have two tick marks that are put on this edge. You're going to use a square to drop those lines, and you're going to use those lines actually to match up with the inner hold of the drill. So if I was to take this out and use my same tick marks and put them on the other component, just like that, and then I'm going to put two tick marks on the opposite side that match up with them. Now if I wanted to use my square for this, I still could, because these are 2 inches inside. So if I was to take this and let's say make a 2-inch mark just on the outside right here, it's going to result in the same thing. Just it's using a tool rather than using the side of the wood instead. So if I go ahead and put my marks down here, just by holding it, take the outside of the pencil, make sure that the outside here is square. That's about what you want. You just make a little tick mark on the second piece that lines up with your existing tick marks. And then you have two tick marks on the side of your second component here. All you do then is put a square line down those edges. Like that. See how it matches up with that outside line? Same thing on the bottom side. So you got two lines that look like that. Now the dowel jig, for this purpose, it's going to be actually sawn on to find the center part on the top. So this gate's a little bit wider right now. You can see it opens pretty far. And the idea is that whatever drill bit goes through here centers on whatever piece is inside the gates. So this one, you notice how there's a little bit of a gap there. If your other piece is thinner, which it likely should be, you put it underneath it, and then you can close it that way. As long as you stick with the depth gauge of the blue tape, you won't have any issue. It won't drill through the piece of wood, in other words, or in your piece. So then all you got to do is that there's a line that matches up that goes all the way down this black part here. you match that up with the line on your piece. So I slide it over until it matches that spot, okay? Once it does, I'm able to clamp it down. Effectively what that does is make a center hole once I drill it in that. Now just make sure that it's good and snug, that way it doesn't drop when you go to drill. Don't apply too much pressure, just let the drill bit do the cutting. And then fire it on. Trigger. And it will drill you a hole right in the center of this piece. Then you just flip it over and do the same thing. By the end, you're going to have 2 holes on one side, okay? And then 2 holes in the center. And essentially what you're going to be able to do is take 2 pins like this, and you can put them in one side, like that, and then push it together like that, and it'll line up that way, and it'll stay lined up when we do the gluing, okay? Now, there are a couple problems that could happen with this. For example, if your holes are not centered, if there was an error in the measurement, and if they're off by, let's say, 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch, you might not be able to put your pieces together. That's one problem. What you'll have to do is use this again and offset the hole a little bit so that they can match up, and that'll work just fine. It'll stay pretty secure. The other problem that you might have is depth. If you didn't go down deep enough, that's going to be an issue. I think if you go through this side of the hole, it's going to be an eyesore, but it can still work. We just have to worry about the pins not going too deep, and these being the dowel pins. I think that's it, and then make sure you keep and clean up your area, you know, have a nice clean area, get your wood chips out of the way. And then you go ahead and move on to the next part of the objectives.